Commissioner Ventel,
Here.
Commissioner Barbara Casey,
Here.
Commissioner David Ulivari Jr.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councillor Howell, would you do the moment of silence, please?
Moment of silence. Please let our community do the right thing in selecting who they feel is the best candidate for the council seats. We wish both the councilors luck in this election coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Barbara, would you take that and amend it accordingly, please?
Madam Chair.
Oh, you're going to do it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
she's
Oh,
going.
okay.
Go ahead.
We'd like to make a change to the agenda to include a brief description of what items will be discussed on the Housing Director's monthly report findings.
As an addendum to the
As an
actual-
addendum,
Okay,
yes.
thank you very much. I need a motion.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a second? Roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Ulivari,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner, I'm sorry, I didn't catch who gave the second. Who gave the second? David Ulivari?
Both of them.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
For the record, requirements.
I'll have her do it. Okay. Could you please justify for the record, put it on the record as to why we are amending the...
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we are amending the agenda to include a description of what we are going to be discussing as far as the HUD compliance monitoring review.
Okay, read it into the record, please.
Okay, for HUD compliance monitoring review under Director's monthly report, for finding number 1, we will be discussing governance finding, corrective action, lead the way training. For finding number 4, admission and continued occupancy policy update needed. For finding number 10, insurance policies not provided. For finding number 12, replace one strike policy. Finding number 14, physical needs assessment outdated. Finding number 15, capital fund deadlines steps needed. Finding number 16, no check meters. Finding number 17, flat rent outdated. Finding number 18, extremely low income requirements violation.
Now, this have all been corrected, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so this is an actual corrective action.
This is
Thank
to
you.
discuss those.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay, let's continue.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of January the
Wait a minute.
17th.
Did we do a roll call? Okay, and the amendment. Okay, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
good.
yes,
Okay, continue.
The item is to approve the minutes of January the 17th, 2018.
What is the pleasure of the
Madam Chair.
commission?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Casey.
I move approval of the minutes for January 17, 2018, and I did send in minor corrections to the
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Ulivari,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Romero. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public input, and Madam Chair, we did not have anyone sign up for public input at this time.
Okay, continue.
Next item on the agenda is presentation by our finance specialist, Natasha Martinez-Padilla, the finance report.
In front of, Madam Chair, Commissioners, in front of you guys, you have the finance report through January 31st, 2018. Actually, that's a correction. It should be more than 50% of the year has elapsed. I do apologize for that. As far as our revenues go, we have submitted our the 51999 forms, the HUD forms to our HUD field office. awaiting their signatures and approval to draw down that money from locks. So as soon as we get their signatures, they were sent off about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks actually. So as soon as we receive those back, our finance revenue side will be reflected on that. It's about $57,000 a month that we're lacking, and we're lacking all but 1 month. So.
Questions, comments? Okay, continue.
And then on the expenditure side, we are also trying to maintain our expenditures until we have that cash in the bank, just because we don't want to be floating on cash balance for that long. We have reserves for a reason. We need to have those 6 months in there. And I feel that we need to hold off on our expenditures, besides like our employee expenses that obviously have to be there. And as far as operating expenses, we're doing what we have to do. No extraordinary expenses, but mostly we're trying to stay as frugal as possible and still getting our day-to-day operations done.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, comments?
Quick question for clarification. How much money do we get a year for CFP funds?
For CFP funds, we get approximately, I think this year was 312,000, and 20% of that gets allocated to operations.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, let's continue.
Madam Chair, next item on the agenda is the Housing Director's Monthly Report. I'm going to be reporting the compliance monitoring notification. The Housing Authority is cooperating and working with the HUD field office to ensure that what is needed to be done in compliance is what is being worked on to be submitted. So I will discuss finding number 1, governance finding corrective action, lead the way training.
Those already have been read into the record.
Yes.
I believe that if the commission has questions, let me present it. Go ahead and just
Okay,
list
I will
the
just
number 1, number 4.
No, finding number 1, I had mentioned I have contacted all members of the commission either by phone call or email and offered assistance in setting up usernames and passwords. That invitation is still open to anyone who is interested. So I know that several of you have already signed up for it and have already begun or finished the training. Finding number 4, the Las Vegas Housing Authority is preparing a draft ACOP. So far, 4 chapters out of 17 have been updated, and the Housing Authority is working closely with our HUD analyst on each chapter. Finding number 10, the City of Las Vegas Finance Director has provided copies of the insurance policies to the HUD field office, correcting that finding. Finding number 12, this evening we are presenting to the Board of Commissioners Resolution number 18-11 to adopt the crime-free policy, as well as updating the application for admission and recertification to include questions about the presence of sex offenders in the household. The ACOP is also being updated to reflect these changes, and that is in resolution number 18-12. Finding number 14, the physical needs assessment has been quoted out. We are hoping to have a PO by the end of this week. The Las Vegas Housing Authority financial specialist is on the last steps of completing the energy audit. For finding number 15, the replacement housing factor funds for 2016 and 2017 are being presented this evening. For finding number 16, no check meters, the estimate will be included with the energy audit. For finding number 17, this evening we are also presenting to the Board of Commissioners resolution number 18-08 to adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's flat rent schedule for residents living in public housing. And for finding number 18, this evening we are also presenting to Board of Commissioners resolution number 18-10 to adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's income requirements, policies, and procedures. The Housing Authority will be preparing the report on all the corrective actions to the findings we have addressed. This report will be given to the City of Las Vegas administration to be included with the final response for the compliance monitoring review to the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the housing, HUD has received these?
No, we are, Madam Chair, Commissioners, we are presenting them to the commission for approval before we
Okay,
submit
after
them.
we approve it, then you'll be
Correct.
sending. And what, if the commissioners have not completed their lead the way training, but they are in process of it, that would be okay with them, do you think?
Madam Chair, I'm not, Commissioners, I don't know the answer to that. I really couldn't tell you. I don't know what their expectation is.
Thank you.
Okay. Could you get a response on that and get back to the commission?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. Question from Commissioner Casey.
Thank you. Following up on what Commissioner Howell asked, will the remaining findings be corrected by the next Thursday's deadline?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the findings that we have corrected or have, that I've just addressed are all the findings that are the responsibility, except for finding number 10, which the City of Las Vegas provided the insurance. Interim City Manager Anne-Marie Gallegos and Interim Finance Director Tana are also working with us on, I believe she would have to give you an update as far as the rest of the findings that are being worked on.
Okay, so do you anticipate that you will meet the deadline?
I can answer for our findings. We are meeting our deadline.
Okay. Okay, Anne-Marie?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the council. What we've done is we have already updated and given all of the information over to the interim housing director. She just needs to compile it with her findings. And I think we suggested that we had a binder that was already started, am I correct?
Yes.
And so, and we have already given her all of the information to insert into that binder with all of the other findings that we have. The only thing that we're lacking, and we're gonna meet tomorrow, but I believe the only thing we're lacking is a letter to HUD, which will give them all of the information that they're requesting. Am I correct, Barbara?
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioner.
Okay, so you do have the information.
Yeah, we do. They do have the information, and I know that it's been difficult for them because they've been working on so many of they've been doing a lot of research. So we're just need to go back, look at the listing, see if there's anything else that's needed, but I believe that they have received all of the information.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Commissioner Casey?
Thank you. I'm just wondering, and probably it's not really a question for Mrs. Gallegos, it's just a general, I'm wondering why question, is I'm wondering why the people who did the audit or the director of the HUD office in Albuquerque have not come to the city and met with the council to review the findings and let us know what the process is and what the consequences are of doing or not doing or completing or not completing or maybe needing an extension or whatever. There hasn't been, I always thought that after an audit there was an exit conference of some kind, and I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know if it took place, and it was just with the executive and finance or...
Most entrance and exit conferences do take place with the executive office, and that includes usually your director of HUD, the city manager, the mayor, or other individuals that are involved. And then these individuals bring back the findings to the council at that point in time. And it's up to actually the interim director or director to present those findings.
Has that taken place?
I'm not certain about
Madam
that.
Chair,
They haven't
Commissioners.
contacted me, so.
Not yet. I believe we're working on all the findings to present before we do that. I believe the interim city manager did speak to our field analyst, and I don't know if there's a definite meeting set up.
Commissioner, Madam Commissioner, Commissioner, I guess.
I'm the chairman of the commission.
Sorry. I did speak to the field division director that a week ago. submit the answers to all of the findings. Then she would have an opportunity to review them. And at that point, she would then come over, she would come to the city of Las Vegas to attend a meeting to review the audit findings and then proceed with any recommendations and actually to hear from you as well. And so that is in the process, and that should happen. Once her review is complete, then we'll, even if we have to schedule a special meeting, if that is the, if that's the pleasure of the commission, then we will schedule something so that all commissioners can hear. It's not an audit per se, it's a review is what it is, but we want to continue and we want to continue reporting any compliance issues that are still outstanding, and we're going to be working with Ms. Mandy Grego on those, finalizing them, and then coming back to the commissioners for their review.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I going through the Lead the Way training, it was highly recommended that the HUD field office come and speak to the board in regards to the audit. And just wondering, following up with Councilor Casey's comment about the audit review.
Barbara?
So I don't know if we have invited them to come to us, or
As I just stated, she is going to review the responses to the audit, and then we will set up a time for her to come in, for them to come in and review it with the commissioners.
okay.
And that has not been scheduled because we're still trying to finalize the responses. So when those are due on February 28th. Once those go in, then we need to give her an opportunity to review our responses and then come back to the commission as well.
Okay, so does the commission understand the actual process? Good. Thank you. Any further questions?
We'll continue to update, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Okay. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Casey.
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented. Item 1 was resolution number 1811 to adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's crime-free policy for residents living in public housing. Item number 2, resolution number 1802 to adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's non-smoking policy for residents living in public housing. Item number 3, resolution number 1803, amending the Las Vegas Housing Authority's residential lease agreement. Item number 4, resolution number 18-12 to amend the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's admissions and continued occupancy policy to include crime-free requirements for residents living in public housing. Item number 5, resolution number 18-10 to adopt the Las Vegas Housing Authority's income targeting requirements and policy procedures. Item number 6, resolution number 18-08 to adopt the Las Vegas Housing Authority's utility allowance schedule. Item number 7, resolution number 18-09 to adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's flat rent schedule for residents living in public housing. And item number 8, replacement housing factors, RHFF 2016 and 2017.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero, Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Ulibarri.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Romero. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Romero.
Nothing.
Commissioner Casey.
I don't have anything to
Commissioner
report.
Howell.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask, is there a annual contribution contract that we have with HUD?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'm going to let Natasha Martinez-Padilla answer the question.
Yes, our ACC is what the City of Las Vegas has with Housing and Urban Development. This contract itself is what binds the city and HUD together, and the contract is actually for the housing authority. So it's for the program itself. So the department that we're in, we're a department of the city. So the ACC is the contract that has us as part of the city.
And that gives responsibilities of both the city and the housing authority
Yeah, well, that gives the responsibility of the housing authority to the city.
to the city.
But it's primarily fiscal, correct?
It's managerial and fiscal. So that's,
So if that is the case, then why is it that Mandy continues to get involved in the managerial aspect of housing?
I think it's more of a compliance than managerial aspect that she's getting involved in,
Not
and,
based on the memorandums I've read, no.
okay.
Continue.
Can we get a copy of that?
I can look it up. I think it was like 1967 is the initial one.
Exactly.
And then I'll ask her if there was an updated one, because they probably updated it when each turnkey project was completed. I think they updated the ACC, so we'll have to see when the last one was done and what year that was recorded, so I can get a copy.
Because it does say annual.
Yes, and the annual contribution contract that we sign every year is just for our capital fund. So each capital fund comes with a capital fund amendment, I think is what they call it, and it's an ACC amendment for capital funds.
Okay.
Is what we get annually.
Okay, thank you.
May I follow up on that?
Yes, Councilor Creasy?
Thank you. So the contract is very old. You know, is there anything anywhere that says that it should be reviewed every 5 years or every 2 years?
I am not positive on that. Like I said, I think it gets, there's components of it that get reviewed every year. And it just goes to our chairman. And that's just for the amount itself for the capital fund that comes in every year. As far as when the contract comes in or who initiates it or how it works, I really couldn't tell you right now. I can research it and then get back to you guys. I will research it and get back to you guys and find out exactly and if I need to bring the contract itself, we'll bring it out and kind of get definitions into each section.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think that would be a really good idea because we haven't seen the contract, so we don't really know what it says. And
Okay.
it's difficult to be in compliance with, the contract or whatever is in there.
Well, I don't believe we're out of compliance with the ACC because it has not been raised as corrective
Well,
action.
it's not a
Correct?
finding, but it still, if we don't know what it is that we're exactly supposed to be doing every year, it's difficult to
Okay.
to know
Anne Marie,
what they
are you,
expect.
are you familiar with the ACC?
No, I'm not, and I have not seen the current contract. I don't remember seeing a contract since many years ago, and so that is something I think that should be.
And I believe what it does is gives the city of Las Vegas the authority of fiscal responsibility. I'm not certain about the administrative functions, but if that is the case, then we have to review that. But at this point in time, what the city makes about a $500,000 commitment yearly.
We owe the housing,
But what is our responsibility in addition to what we owe?
well, we have the fiscal responsibility.
Exactly.
Because we take care of the fiscal responsibilities. As far as administration, I believe that the director of housing is the person who would do the administrative, the first person as far as the administrative part.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Howell.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Madam Chair. I think the Lead the Way training states that the ACC does describe the responsibilities of this board, or this commission. And it's not only finances, but it's management. And there's a third physical assessment part of the housing. And we, as a commission, is responsible to ensure that the residents of our housing authority are in a clean, sanitized situation. And it's accountable, we are accountable for that. as a commission. So that's why I was asking about the ACC.
We'll look into that,
Yeah.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, and get back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Olivari.
Welcome.
Okay. Now let's move on to adjournment, unless you have need for executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Uribarri.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Romero. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
Individual, thank you very much.
Motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Romero and Councilor Lee Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the council. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for January the 10th,
January the 17th and January the 23rd, 2018.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Madam Mayor,
Councilor Casey.
I move approval of the minutes for January 10th, January 17th, and January 23rd, 2018. And minor corrections have already been sent in to the city clerk.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Romero. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is mayor's appointments and reports. And
I do not have any at this moment. Let's move on.
thank you, Madam Chair. The next item on the agenda is mayor's recognitions and proclamations. The first one we have is the New Mexico Aviation Proclamation.
Thank you. Could you
Will
please
City
read that
Clerk
into the
please
record?
read the proclamation?
Absolutely, Madam Mayor. State of New Mexico Executive Office, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Whereas aviation and community airports play a critical role in the lives and safety of our citizens and impact virtually every sector of our economy, such as agriculture, ranching, the film industry, health and medical fields, manufacturing, recreation, travel, tourism, and retail businesses. And whereas the state of New Mexico has a vested interest in the continued vitality of general aviation and is home to aircraft and systems manufacturing, aerospace research and development, educational institutions, community airports, fixed-base operators, charter flight businesses, repair stations, drone operators, and flight schools, all of which provide jobs and economic growth. And whereas given our state's size and geography, many businesses and communities depend upon general aviation aircraft of all types for mobility, access to medical treatment, economic opportunity, disaster relief, search and rescue operations, and a wide range of critical resources. And whereas communities in New Mexico depend heavily on general aviation and rural airports for the continued flow of commerce, tourists, and visitors who come to enjoy the resources and recreational activities available in the land of enchantment, and who are responsible for over $61 million in annual expenditures. And whereas New Mexico has 62 public use aviation facilities, 6 air traffic control towers, 8 airports with passenger air service serving 5.7 million passengers annually, and over 5,000 licensed pilots serving New Mexico residents, businesses, ranches, and farms. And whereas general aviation airports are home to 3 air tanker bases which provide crucial firefighting response to New Mexico and our neighboring states. And whereas organizations like the New Mexico Pilots Association, the New Mexico Airport Managers Association, the Experimental Aircraft Association, the New Mexico Aviation and Aerospace Association, the Alliance for Aviation Across America, the National Business Aviation Association, the National Association of State Aviation Officials, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, and the Recreational Aviation Foundation recognize and promote the interests and importance of aviation in New Mexico and throughout the world. And whereas according to the 2016 New Mexico Airport System Plan Update, aviation in New Mexico supports 18,476 jobs, generates $723.4 million in a payroll annually, and is responsible for bringing $2.3 billion into the economy. Now therefore, I, Susana Martinez, Governor of the State of New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2018 as New Mexico Aviation Appreciation Month throughout the state of New Mexico.
Thank you, Cassandra. And in addition to that, I was also awarded and had the privilege to attend the Route 66 Air Tour. And it says here that this is presented to the host airports in recognition of their importance to the general aviation airport network. Santa Rosa Route 66, Moriarty Airport, Grants, Milan Municipal, Tucumcari Municipal, Las Vegas, and Winslow, Arizona. So I want to ensure that this certificate is actually hung on the wall of the airport. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay, now we continue with the actual recognitions.
The next item on the next recognition, Madam Mayor, members of the council, are for our City of Las Vegas very special Olympics program. Madam Mayor?
Okay, we have here Special Olympics certificates of recognition for athletic achievements for 2017. What I'm going to have our city clerk do is read them, and as she reads them, please come up, stay up here, and I will present you with each certificate. Okay? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Certificate of Recognition, Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017, presented to Norma Jean Aragon.
Norma Jean, is she here? Is Norma Jean Aragon here? No. Okay, continue.
Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017, presented to Jessie Abeta. And Miss Abeta received a gold medal in track for the 50-millimeter softball throw. Special Olympics Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Natasha Iris. And Miss Natasha received the 100-millimeter silver medal and 50-meter gold medal in track, a bronze medal in unified volleyball and unified softball, and a gold medal in bowling. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Nazaria Garcia. We have Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Linda Gonzalez. And Ms. Gonzalez received a silver medal in unified volleyball. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Nefe Gonzalez. And Mr. Gonzalez received a gold medal in bowling, a bronze medal in unified volleyball, and unified softball. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Samantha Hughes. And Samantha received a gold medal in bowling, 100-meter, 50-meter track, and a bronze in unified softball. Recognizing athlete achievements for 2017 presented to Angelica Lucero. Okay. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Jeffrey Lujan. Jeffrey received a silver medal in unified volleyball and bowling. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Estrella Romero. And Estrella received a gold medal in the softball throw, 50-meter track, and bowling, and a silver medal in unified volleyball. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Julian Romero. Mr. Julian received a gold medal for the 400-meter in track, a bronze medal for the 100-meter in track, unified volleyball, unified softball, and bowling. Special Olympics Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Harold Romero. Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to David Vaughn. And Mr. Vaughn received a silver medal in unified volleyball. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Savannah Gallegos. Miss Savannah received a gold medal in the 50-meter track and bowling, a silver medal in 100-meter track, and a bronze in unified softball. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Gilbert Gallegos. And Mr. Gilbert received a gold medal in the 100-meter and 50-meter track. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Abby Duarte. Miss Abby received a gold medal in 100-meter and 50-meter track, bronze medal in unified volleyball, unified softball, and bowling. Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Eric, is it Seller? And last we have Special Olympics Las Vegas Athlete Achievements for 2017 presented to Ashley Valdez.
We'll give those certificates to the organizers of this event, and I want to congratulate each and every one of you, starting with the incredible athletes. You guys did such a good job.
Thank you. The one that just stood up.
She was sitting right there.
Let's go.
See you again, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Okay, I think we're ready to continue. Public input.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is public input. And the first one we have is Mr. Lorenzo Flores.
Okay, Mr.
¿Cómo
Flores.
están?
Good evening.
First of all, Mr. Iribarri, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Any police officer, district attorney, judge, art committee, people in your ward all agree that you haven't been convicted of nothing. But there are some hypocrites in our communities and others who have already convicted you, and they're just waiting for your execution. No des tu brazo a torcer. You know, according to the New Mexico statutes annotated, New Mexico case law, the rules of magistrate and district court, and the legal points and memorandums of opinions of the Secretary of State in the election handbook of the state of New Mexico, you are a qualified voter and you are qualified to hold office. So those individuals that are attacking you should be ashamed of themselves, because those that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. As far as I'm concerned, I am proud that you represent our ward. We're doing everything that we can to help you stay there. We're also working as hard as we can to get Ms. Carla Benavides elected in Ward 4, because we need to return our council government back to the community instead of to hateful people and carpetbaggers who have infiltrated our government. With that being said, I wrote a letter to the editor concerning the recall. At that time, we submitted 33 signatures that were stamped and received by the clerk. The city attorney, not Mr. Silva here, Ms. Smith on her own disqualified 3 of our signatures. That left us with 30, which the county clerk disqualified 5 and left us with 25. We continued to complain about it and haggle about it because we saw that there was a pattern that happened when Alfonso Ortiz was recalled, and they were removing people for just not having a dot on top of the I. So we went back and did our research, and we did complete the 25 signatures. I received a letter from Cassandra on January 30th telling me that we did get enough signatures to move forward on the recall on Councilor Casey. And a lot of people are wondering why we're doing the recall. It is because since you got elected, for some reason or other, 3 of the councilmen went one way, and all they've done is obstruct, and housing, the water, the loans that are due in 2035 have been eating up our community, and no progress has been made at all. And we figured that, let's call it what it is. We provided the Optic with all this information. We also gave him articles from the Hondo News in Roswell, where Mr. Casey, Barbara's husband, was involved in a battery and assault on an individual down there in the Hondo schools. We provided the Optic with another article from the Albuquerque Journal, where it says here that complaints were being filed against the Caseys. We provided the Optic with restraining orders from a docket down there where it says here, Barbara Casey, defendant, Frank Casey, defendant. And everybody keeps asking, well, why are you bringing this up? Well, I have a police report, which really, this incident happened on the 29th of January, and for some reason or other, the police department or whoever never made a report. We had to haggle, and through just letting the interim chief know or something, we finally got a report, and it's a report where Mrs. Casey and her husband tailgated and did a road rage and harassed an 85-year-old man in our community. Here it is, okay? So I'm here just to let the community know, and you guys know, that the recall has been going on since the 2nd of February. We will get the signatures in by the time that we need to. And I would also like to let you know that sometime next week you will also get an intent to recall Councilman Howell because there's some problems that we just uncovered recently, which I think Mr. Howell should either come clean and be transparent, or he should resign as a councilman. So with that being said, thank you. And
Thank you, Mr.
have a
Flores.
good evening.
Next.
The next person on the public input is Marshall Poole on animal welfare report. Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Mr. Poole.
Madam Mayor and council, I'm Marshall Poole. I'm on the board of the Animal Welfare Coalition. A few news items from the last couple of months. In January, we took in 113 animals, 45 of which were puppies. This month, we're only 2/3 through the month, and we already have surpassed the 45 puppies. We transported 81 animals to Colorado and other places for adoption. We put 17 animals in animal hospitals in Santa Fe or Albuquerque because they were sick or injured. We adopted 11 animals locally. We returned only 14 animals to citizens, to guardians, because we hardly ever know who owns these animals. More than 90% come in without any kind of identification, so we have to we don't know the owner, we have to transport them. 13 animals were dead on arrival. Most of those are dogs running at large, hit by car. We had no bite holds in January, but we've had 3 bite holds so far in February. A bite hold is when an animal bites someone, but we have no proof of rabies certificate. And most of the animals, again, that come into the shelter, we have no proof of rabies certification, and that's the state law. We have an active volunteer program with students from UWC and Highlands and others, and also community service folks, walking dogs and doing other useful things around the shelter. In January, more than 21 volunteers donated more than 300 hours of volunteer time. We also supported state legislation that would have generated funds from pet food manufacturers to support free and low-cost spay and neuter in the state. It was passed by the legislature, but it's looking like it may not be signed by the governor. Even though it's not an appropriations bill, it's not a tax at all, it's paid by the pet food manufacturers. Our van has just passed its yearly Colorado Department of Agriculture inspection for transporting animals to Colorado. Mostly that's just physical shape of the vehicle plus our infection control procedures so that we're not transporting animals that might be diseased. And we're working with the city to jointly host a public input meeting that's required by our contract. So we're working to set a date where people can share their thoughts and concerns about animal welfare. So, and a new animal control officer has been hired by the city. We're looking forward to working with her and helping to get training. We have secured a grant for training her that would give her certification as an animal control officer. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. The next person under public input is Mr. Lalo Sanchez regarding concerns.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lalo Sanchez, for those of you who don't know who I am. I would like to give thanks first to Rebecca Armijo and Robert Duran for doing a prompt job on a sidewalk that I had complained about. City Director, this is directed to you. Crosswalks, I talked to you about it the last meeting at Senior Citizens, but that wasn't recorded. This is recorded today. So we would like to know when are you or the city going to get crosswalks throughout the city? Crosswalks is a pedestrian's safety zone. And if a safety zone isn't there, what is a pedestrian going to do? Cross in the middle of the street and get run over by somebody, and who's going to be responsible? Who knows? Dog control, there's a lot of dogs. Animal control is not doing their job the way they're supposed to. I see them passing by, not only on my street on North Gonzales, but throughout the city. They pass by and the dogs are sitting on the sidewalk looking at the dog catcher go by, and they're just laughing at him or her, whoever it is. So something needs to be done about dogs, especially at night. Somebody needs to be hired at night to get those dogs out at night that are roaming around freely, disturbing the other dogs that are either caged or locked up, and they're just disturbing the whole neighborhood at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. For the chief, this is a new chief, Amnab Sanchez, you need to get your officers in line. They need to obey the law just like everybody else. They're not above the law.
Mr.
Car number
Sanchez.
15 a while ago I
Mr.
was coming
Sanchez.
into, and on Mills.
Would you please address the council,
7th
Mr.
Street,
Sanchez?
they crossed, he just ran the red light, and that's something that they give tickets to other people for the same infractions that they're doing. So something needs to be done as far as that goes. As far as refugees, we had this a while back on refugees. I say refugees, I feel sorry for them, and they do need help. But why don't we fix our own problems here first before we start bringing in refugees? And who is going to take them in? Are the ones that want refugees over here, are they going to take them into their house and support them? Or are they going to turn them loose in the community and everybody else is going to have to take care of them, or what? I'm all for refugees as far as that goes, but let's take care of our own first before we start taking care of somebody else, as far as that goes. I think that's about it for now. I just hope that everybody does get on track and does do their job like they're supposed to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
I believe that I need to respond to this issue that's come up by Mr. Sanchez over and over. With regards to the sidewalks, that is primarily funded by CDBG funding through the Small Cities program. So the fact that we do have some money set aside, I understand that. But also the fact that because of the special audit this year, that just the mere fact of any impropriety could compromise the CDBG funding for up to 3 years. That would mean $1 million loss to the city funding. We don't know exactly what will happen with CDBG funds, but we are working diligently on that to correcting that. So just so you understand. Okay, thank you very much. And as far as the animal control, we are filling those positions?
Yes. We have one vacancy. We still have one vacancy to fill.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next item on the agenda is presentations, and we have Mr. Robert Archuleta.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the governing body. We have two special guests with us today, but before I introduce them, I'd like to give you an overview of the Downtown Action Plan that I've been managing for some time now. The New Mexico Finance Authority issued a letter on December 7th, 2016, which authorized 100% of a funded local planning grant in the amount of $50,000 for the city to update the Downtown Action Plan, which is otherwise known as the Metropolitan Redevelopment Act Plan. So the Downtown Action Plan resides within the Metropolitan Redevelopment Act Plan. That grant was co-written by the city, by the former Community Development Director, and Cindy Collins from Main Street, Las Vegas. And subsequently, it was awarded $50,000 to the city. Architectural Research Consultants was selected through an RFP to update the Downtown Action Plan, again known as the Metropolitan Redevelopment Act Plan. There were two offerers that submitted proposals. One was Site Southwest, and the other one was Architectural Research Consultants. So through that RFP process, we had a committee, and we selected Architectural Research Consultants as the consultant for this project. In 2010, the City of Las Vegas passed a resolution designating the City of Las Vegas as a Metropolitan Redevelopment Act area. And that's based on the Metropolitan Redevelopment Code, which is New Mexico statutes annotated 30-6-8. So the plan covers 3 areas. Essentially, it covers Old Town, it covers New Town, which is the Douglas area, and it also covers the Railroad District. And then the historical residential sites within those areas. There are 5 parts to the scope of work. The first part is an inventory and mapping of existing conditions of land use, zoning, public land ownership, transportation networks, and traffic volumes. The second part of the scope of work is overview of the existing downtown municipal and regional commercial housing market conditions, new and future land uses, and revitalization projects to integrate preservation and conservation. The fourth one is to determine vacant, underutilized, and available land and spaces. And the fifth is projects to improve job creation, economic development, livability, walkability, and enhance the authentic, unique sense of place. As we all know, Las Vegas is as a historical city. The plan must be reviewed when it's completed and drafted by Historic Preservation Division, New Mexico Main Street, and New Mexico Department of Transportation, and must be adopted by the governing body by May 30th, 2018. So therefore, at this time, I'd like to introduce Liza Miller and Ben Savoca of Architectural Research Consulting.
Thank you.
And they're going to give you an update on where we are with the plan thus far.
Okay, before we continue, I have a couple of questions. Now, is this the plan that the city spent nearly $100,000 on?
I'm not sure, Madam Mayor. I believe this is an update of the 2010 downtown action plan that was implemented in 2010.
And how is this plan tied into the wayfinding plan?
I think wayfinding is a small portion of the scope of work that was issued by NMFA.
Okay, but this wayfinding plan is tied into the actual Metropolitan Redevelopment Act plan. Is that what you're talking about?
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Now, I have concerns that have been raised with regards to the plan being issued to another contractor when wayfinding has been working on the plan. So could you explain that to the council?
I think initially, previous to my hire, there was some discussion about, there was a consulting firm, I believe, that was asked to develop a plan maybe a year or even a year and a half ago. But no money was ever awarded for that plan. There may have been some funding provided for some planning early on, but I'm not quite sure about that.
Okay, what it says here is that from the Lodgers Tax Board member, that when Lodgers Tax Board voted unanimously last month to provide money to implement the wayfinding plan, our expectation was that surroundings would update the complete plan that began. And essentially, they're saying they started, this is the background, this is who's been doing the work, and here we are giving the contract to someone else. So how can you explain it?
Madam Mayor, I was not at that Lodgers Tax meeting, so I'm not sure what was discussed regarding surroundings.
Okay, maybe we need to follow up on that as well.
But also, NMFA specifically in their request to the city for scope of work does include wayfinding as a small portion of that.
Is that annotated?
I'm sorry?
Is that annotated?
Sure,
You're not certain. Okay, of that statute, okay.
Madam
Okay.
Mayor, and we are looking at the wayfinding authorization that was given by Lodgers Tax.
Okay.
We're still in the process of reviewing that.
Okay.
Nothing has gone out at this point. So we, the department as well as myself are reviewing those recommendations.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue then.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Welcome, and good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you all for your time this evening. Again, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Eliza Miller. I'm a planner with Architectural Research Consultants. And if I can direct you to the last page of our handout here, I'll tell you a little bit about who we are. We're planning consultants contracted by the city to develop the plan update. ARC is New Mexico's longest established and largest firm specializing in planning for communities and facilities. And we do have a considerable amount of planning experience in the area, including the 2011 Las Vegas Comprehensive Plan. We're just wrapping up right now the San Miguel County Comprehensive Plan. And last week we got adopted the Village of Pecos Comprehensive Plan. In 2017 we finished the Pecos Schools Facility Master Plan. And just as a side note, I was born and raised here, and this town is dear to my heart. So with that, I'll hand it to Ben.
Madam Mayor, Councilors, how do you do? So just as a brief overview of what the MRA plan is, there is a specific geographic boundary, as Mr. Archuleta mentioned, that covers primarily the Douglas Avenue corridor, the Railroad District, and Bridge Street and the Plaza. And that is the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area. And New Mexico statute gives the city of Las Vegas authority to conduct certain economic development activities, to preserve the historical nature, to promote tourism and promote economic development. This is a community-driven plan. We've already met with a number of institutions such as Highlands University and UWC and the high schools. We've met with a number of nonprofit organizations and cultural groups, the Kiwanis, Rotary Club, the Tree Board, Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance, Casa de Cultura, the Las Vegas Citizens Committee for Historic Preservation. We've met with Las Vegas First Independent Business Alliance and a number of other local businesses. So this plan draws not only on the previous plan that was already adopted, but on a wide, broad array of community support. And we have contacts in the city, in the utilities department, community development. We're working very closely with Main Street de Las Vegas. So there's, we're making sure that all voices are heard and that we're serving the city as best we can.
And just a word about our steering committee. Our steering committee is kind of helping us guide how the plan is conducted, how the plan update is conducted. And that was put in place or established by the former city manager. So just to let you know who helped us figure out how the plan update should work.
At this point, I did hand everyone a flyer, and I do want to invite the members of the community. This Friday and Saturday, we're having a design shred, a public workshop. That is going to take place on Friday, the 23rd, from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the Plaza Hotel. And then on Saturday, the 24th, from 9 a.m. to noon, also at the Plaza Hotel. And we are going to be having a wrap-up presentation at Charlie Spick and Span on Saturday, the 24th, from 1 till 2. So we encourage the mayor, the councilors, and the community at large to attend. We're going to be presenting a lot of the ideas that we've heard from the various groups that we've spoken to.
Thank you very much.
And if I could speak just for a few minutes on some of the projects that require attention from City Council. The first is called a Tax Increment Financing District, or a TIF. And this is something that the previous plan proposed. A previous City Council has adopted a TIF but has not implemented it. And this is an economic development model where within the MRA boundaries you establish a snapshot of existing property taxes. And then as projects occurred that enhance property values and those property values increase, additional tax revenue that comes from the improved property value, instead of dispersing across the county, is focused within that MRA boundary and can be used to fund streetlights and infrastructure improvements. If the city decides to issue bonds, it can help pay off debt service. So it's a way of funneling that money back into the area that it's developing. And then after the TIF expires, then those enhanced property taxes then disperse to the tax bodies at large. And so we encourage you to implement the TIF and set a start date, preferably before large projects such as the Castañeda Hotel come online. Because when that snapshot happens, we want to make sure that those increased property values can funnel back into the MRA.
Okay, excuse me on that. I have a question. I see the map, but I'm not very clear as to what it encompasses. Do you have, can you provide us a clearer idea of where that money will be used?
We, at the workshop, will have a much clearer map than this. We've updated this map to reflect the legal description of the MRA. Mm-hmm. This is from the previous plan. But it does include the plaza area. It does include Bridge Street, includes Douglas and Lincoln, Grand Avenue, Railroad Avenue.
So primarily the Main Street district area?
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
Gotcha. Okay, continue.
And of course, the historic buildings in this district are a huge asset, but they can also prove a liability in the case of some vacant buildings from the standpoint of a public safety hazard. One of the projects that we're proposing is an update to a vacant building ordinance. And excuse me. Excuse me. When we're still very early in the process, we're looking for various carrots and sticks to promote people to take care of their vacant properties and to find tenants for them. So whether that means insuring those, requiring them to register those with the city, have annual inspections to ensure that they don't pose a safety threat, and various other incentives to find tenants. One of the other major projects we're really excited about, and this does impact any ongoing wayfinding effort, is the potential to reverse the direction of the one-way on University Avenue. That is a major barrier to people coming into downtown who don't necessarily know their way around town. We've spoken with Dr. Minner at Highlands. He's on board with the idea. Everyone else we've spoken to thinks it's a solid idea. It improves visitor access to the city. It improves pedestrian safety, especially among Highlands students. We do have some additional research to do on the ownership of National Avenue. There's a median that would need to be removed in order for that to be reversed. So, but there seems to be broad support for that, and I think that would greatly enhance visitor experience of Las Vegas. Excuse me. The P&M building, which is next to the train station, is a really vital anchor for that end of town. It's a major facility. in the railroad district. And if P&M is considering vacating that property, we strongly encourage the city to find some occupant for that building. The plan we're going to recommend to the city that they conduct a condition assessment of the property to see the condition of the facility and determine the highest and best use. Whether that would be appropriate for municipal services or events such as a farmer's market. They've got the garage bays on the south end of the building. It would be terrific. Farmer's market or an arts event, art fair, so that vendors could roll their cars and trucks up to those garage doors and sell directly to people. I think that's a terrific opportunity. But whatever happens with that building, we don't want to see that vacant. Between that and the Castañeda, that is a really vital anchor for that end of the street.
I know that we've discussed that in the past with regards to moving some of the offices down there. I don't see that as viable because of the fact that if we even considered moving the utilities department over there, I don't believe that they would be able to house not only the staff, but the vehicles and everything else that we have. And with regards to the potential of a farmer's market, we actually are working on a farmer's market in the downtown area, and we have another one that's situated elsewhere. And again, the parking might be of an issue in the area.
Understood. We just strongly recommend.
But we are working with the Castañeda owner to see if we can sell him a portion of that area so he can add additional parking.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll add that to my notes.
Madam Chair, if I may, do you have a location for that downtown farmers market yet?
Yes, we do. It's on Hot Springs and Mills.
Hot Springs and
Yes,
Mills,
so
yes.
we're working on that.
And then the final project we'd recommend, there is a vacant lot on 9th and Douglas. It used to be the old Elks Lodge. I think that's got some adaptive reuse opportunity for civic spaces. One suggestion was a community garden there. We recognize that access to fresh and healthy food is a concern, especially in some parts of Las Vegas, and anything we can do to promote the health and safety of the citizens is terrific. So if the city would be interested in establishing a community garden, that would be a perfect spot for it.
I'd also like to say that these are not all of the priority projects that have been identified so far for the plan. We just wanted to bring the ones that really needed city council attention to you. We're also working on the Riverwalk and working with Robert to figure out what our role is in developing the wayfinding plan.
And does this tie in directly to the ICIP plan?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the Riverwalk Restoration Project, I'm not sure if it's on the ICIP, but I know that the Great Locks Project is listed as number 9 on the ICIP.
And what about the community garden?
No, ma'am.
It's not on there. I'm seeing a lot of these projects are not tied into ICIP. That is a huge concern because that has to go through the council. And also it has to go straight through DFA in order to ensure that we receive any funding. If it's not tied into ICIP, that immediately reduces the priority through the ranking and rating process for any type of future funding. Okay? Just so you understand, Robert. Continue, please.
That's more or less the summation of our presentation. We do want to encourage you and the councilors and the community at large to attend the workshop this weekend.
Oh, I love that.
We really believe in this plan. The 2009 plan had tremendous success. There were a number of projects that came out of that. For instance, the E. Romero Fire Station, the Indigo Theater, the Bridge Street Breezeway and parking area, the old street trolley building, and of course the Castañeda. So these plans have.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Please follow up with the wayfinding plan as well. Find out what the status of this and how we're going to incorporate that.
Madam Mayor, councilors, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Prior to our next presentation, Madam Mayor, members of the council, I did want to inform Madam Mayor, members of the council, that as of December 31st, Cisneros chose not to renew their contract with the city. And so we have passed some of those responsibilities on back to community development and Ms. Marujo. And with that, I will, the next presentation, I will request Ms. Marujo to come up. She's here.
Okay, thank you.
I want her to introduce. Thank you, Virginia.
Now, Ms. Gallegos, you have Joaquin Garofalo.
Yes, and he will be coming up in just a minute. I think she is going to,
Okay,
she will introduce him.
okay, so it's.
Thank you.
Okay, well, she's not on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. As you know, I've recently been put into position to help with the lodger's tax. And since then, I would like to thank you, Madam Mayor, for providing us with a very active and very motivated group of individuals who have really been working hard on the lodger's tax, especially to get some consistency going starting through this new fiscal year coming up. So today we have Joaquin Garofalo, who's going to come up and he's going to kind of give a presentation on some of the things that they've been working on, and also a little update on some of the budget recommendations they've made.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening,
Council.
how are you?
Thank you for having us
Welcome.
today. Did you hand out anything for me? We have a little bit of paperwork, and we'll try not to inundate you and too many trees. Thank you, ma'am. That was just there's 5, right? You want more?
Just one more.
Okay. Thank you. So once again, we thank you. Recently, we've been appointed a new member whom we're looking forward to meeting and participating with our organization, with our committee. We really want to do the best that we can as a service for the city of Las Vegas. And we were kind of behind the 8 ball when we took over this committee, and we're really looking to be on track. So we'll go into a few discussions on what we've accomplished and what we'd like to see as we move forward. And to keep in mind that our objective is to really create a budget that we can present to you for the 2018-19 fiscal year prior to budget for the city. So we're hoping that in the April meeting or the May meeting, we will be able to present a budget for the 2018-19. And that's our top priority, to be able to start the year in budget versus spend the year catching up to budget. That's what our objective is. Now, in the course of the year, since we've been on this committee, we have a tremendous committee, and we're very proactive. One of the things that we have voted on and finally come to terms that we'd love to recommend to the City Council is a rate increase for lodger's tax from 4% to 5%. Now, we as a committee have voted to move that along and to make a recommendation with a single contingency that it is being used specifically for capital expenditures. And under the ordinance 384-4, imposition of tax, we would like it to be amended to state there is hereby imposed occupancy tax from 4% to 5%. We would like that amended on the city ordinance. The other city ordinance that we'd like to see modified is 389-15, use of monies. And this is really important to us, as we would like to continue to move our community and support growth in our community, is that as part of the ordinance, as it once said at the bottom of the ordinance, it will include, the city shall use no less than 1% for establishing, operating, purchasing, constructing, otherwise acquiring, reconstructing, extending, improving, equipping, furnishing, or acquiring real property or any interest in real property for the site or grounds for attraction or transportation cities of the city, specifically for tourists related. So with that amendment to the ordinance, we, the Las Vegas Lodgers Tax Board, would like to recommend a 1% increase on the lodger's tax.
That's something that would have to be put on the agenda as an action item?
We understand that, and we'd love to be on the agenda for the next city council.
Okay, so you'd like to open it up for discussion?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, what we plan to do is he wanted to make the presentation today as far as on behalf of the board. And then we are going to get it onto the agenda in March for publishing. and that way we can get an approval by April so that it will, if
That'll
it's
give you
approved,
time for
it
your
can
public
fit
input and
into
everything.
their new
Okay,
budget.
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay then. So it's informative here today.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. As far as the lodger's tax, a few months ago, I'd given a presentation to the lodger's tax and given a percentage allocation recommendation on the past year's budget. I have modified that to include what our current dollars are in the lodger's tax available budget, and appropriated funds proportionate to the percentages, just so that you guys have an idea of what those monies are. We have done, as Madam City Manager had mentioned, we no longer are in contract with the Cisneros Corporation out of Santa Fe. Therefore, we have reallocated those numbers into kind of the larger bulk percentages. Ad placement was at $40,000. Nonprofit 40%, nonprofit 20%, contractual services 20%, and tourism infrastructure 20%. So those were the percentage allocations, and the line we didn't try not to spend the whole budget, but we just tried to leave some money to balance out to see where we land at the end of the fiscal year this year. During one of our last meetings, we did do some allocation recommendations to the council or to the city. We're not quite sure where we're going to be most efficient as a board, whether it is through a blanket percentage allocation or through micromanaging specific dollar amounts. We're not quite sure, but we wanted to be of use to the city, and we did make some recommendations, and those recommendations were specifically to the walking tour guide that the city produces.
Sorry, Tanita. There's nothing to...
Oh.
I'm sorry. I
That's
was trying to get my calculator.
the Las Vegas First billboards, the Santa Fe Guide, Las Vegas Visitor Guide, Main Street Wayfinding, which happens to be a topic today, Casa de Cultura, Main Street de Las Vegas, Friends of the Museum, Art Council, and a number of other, Salute to the Troops, CCHP. We will look to post and publish any other nonprofits that would like to have money allocated in their direction for the purpose of marketing for our next special meeting. We've been averaging every month a special meeting in between our quarterly meetings in an effort to try and get this caught up so that we can have a nice cohesive system in place.
Mr. Garofalo, I want to thank you personally. You and the board have been doing an outstanding job. You have been very methodical about how you've addressed every penny that the city is spending and how you're going to use that, and, well, not necessarily use that, but what your recommendations are as an advisory committee and in an advisory capacity, and how you're going to come back to the council and make those necessary recommendations. So we appreciate that. This is an outstanding board. I have noticed that you're just really working together quite well. As a word of advice is usually we reserve 10% of the actual fund, so we're looking at about $27,700 approximately.
Great.
And you're right within that. So
Excellent.
we're good to go.
Okay, very good. And we're not quite sure, once again, today is February the 21st, I think, and the fiscal year ends June 30th. So some of this money is going to be carried over, but regardless of what the dollar amount is, our intent is that next year's allocations will be percentage proportionate. So for each of those proportionate or percentages, the leftover funds will just inflate those accounts for next year's distribution and allocation. We're trying to do whatever we can so that we can have some advertising and some recognition through the slower time of the year, through this winter, spring, the front end of summer, as we hope that June 30th, when Las Vegas hits its big tourist, there's plenty of marketing dollars available for nonprofits and for the city of Las Vegas in order to increase heads and beds.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is the city manager's report. And so the first item on the agenda that I thought was critical for mayor and council to to know about is the notice of obligation, and I have Maria Galveri coming up. Thank you, Maria.
Madam Mayor, councilors, Madam Manager, we did receive, I believe it was yesterday.
Yes.
This will be a second presentation here in a second, unless you want to talk about the notice of obligation. We did receive from the state engineer the notice of obligation for the Bradner Rehab Project, which obligates the remainder of the funds that we have from the $10 million of legislative appropriation for Bradner. So there was $6.7 million, and it's all now obligated, and therefore it's encumbered, and it cannot go anywhere. We'll go to the project.
That's awesome.
So we do expect there to be maybe a few $1,000s at the end that will be added to it once we do our final numbers. But we have the money, and we're moving forward with the project. We actually did our pre-construction meeting last Friday, I believe it was. Contractors are on scene, and they're getting ready to get started, and they are moving forward. And I believe they've already hired some residents to be working on this project. So we are getting Las Vegas residents working on this project.
Great. Good job, all of you. I couldn't thank you enough. I mean, this is incredible. What a step forward. This is great.
Well, we were concerned that the funding may not be there, and so we
had till what, June of 2018?
Yes.
So
but the notice of obligations did come in.
Yes.
And so.
And if I might address the June 30th, we did request from the legislator an extension, a reauthorization through the end of the year. It was recommended for approval by the legislature. It is to the governor's desk, and it'll be for the governor to sign the approval of extending it to the end of the year. We still have it to the last day of June, and I've given direction to the contractor to safely and correctly do the project as quick as possible, as safe as possible, with high quality. If we can get as much done before June 30th, just in case. But from what the state engineer has told me and what our legislators told me, they're pretty confident that the governor will sign the extension.
That's great news. We're coming to a closure in that project.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie.
The next item we wanted we have Ms. Galveri and Mr. Alvin Hidon talk about is our cleanup days on Saturdays. And so with that, I'll turn that over to Maria and Mr. Hidon.
Madam Mayor, councilors, Madam Manager, I'm excited to say that the City Utilities Department is moving forward with the 4 wards in 4 weeks cleanup for this year. We will be starting on March 12th. We will be spending 6 days in every ward, walking through every ward, cleaning up our streets, our community. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Alvin to give you more specifics on who's going to be participating, how long we're going to be participating, and that this will cover each ward. And that we're also looking at wanting to make sure that we get all the information out to the community.
Madam Mayor, councilors, the intent of the project is we hear of all these beautiful things that are happening in Las Vegas, the improvements that the city is making to our community. We feel that it's very important that our community be clean, and we are recruiting the help of our staff to work throughout the week to each dedicated ward for a period of 5 days, ending with a community cleanup for each ward on the ending Saturday. We feel this is going to help us get a kickstart on our spring events that are happening in the city. It's very important that we keep our city clean. A clean community is a safe community. So during the project, what we're going to do is we're going to have an amnesty day. So every ward will have the ability to have use of the transfer station and the 2 drop-off sites that we're going to be providing, so that people that cannot travel all the way to the transfer station or just have a little bit of debris in their yards can simply take it to a closer location. We'll be starting with Ward 1, working on to Ward 2, 3, and 4, and each ward will have its dedicated areas where we'll be setting up. We will be going to the radio every Friday. If the councilors would like to participate, we would welcome it to speak on the radio on behalf of the ward. I feel this is going to be a very prosperous project once it's completed.
Thank you very much. We look forward to the amnesty days and the cleanups every single year.
Yes.
Makes the city look so much nicer.
And we're excited this year. We've already communicated to the other directors, and we're going to get a lot of support from all the different departments in the city, and we will be able to get a lot done. And we're looking forward to just a beautiful, beautiful community right before tourist season, and just for all of us.
Okay, thank you. Good job.
Is there any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Presentation.
Exciting.
I would like to reiterate, if any counselors would like to be on the radio prior to their ward, if we can kind of coordinate that somewhere, probably with the city manager's office, so we can make sure that there's plenty of time for the counselors to be able to speak on the radio about their ward and the excitement for this project.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Calderi. Mr. Hidon. One final item on the city manager's report is the naming of the intranet. And I think we have submitted a listing of names to mayor and council to vote. We're getting ready to build the information platform for the intranet, for the citywide intranet. And so if we can have, I believe there was only one vote that was received, so we need 4 others. And if you can look at the listing, if, as a matter of fact, I do have, yes.
Now, is this going to be put out to the community as well for public input?
We had, these are the, I'm going to hand out a listing of the, oh, is it the same thing? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, anyway, if we can have your recommendations by Friday to Desiree, we can move forward. And I believe that Mayor, we've already requested different names from the employees of the city. And now we're just going to allow mayor and council to choose the one name that we want to use for our intranet. And then they'll start building the platform around it. So if we can have that on Friday, then I believe IT is ready to move on the project itself. Okay. Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Madam Mayor, can I just make a quick comment?
Yes, go ahead and make a quick comment.
I had already selected
Had
my
you-
choices, but I didn't know who to give them to.
Oh, I'm sorry,
So it was,
Yes.
I just took them home.
Can I
So
have them or
who's,
can?
My question is though, whose comments do you have?
I believe I had only one and that was yours, Madam Mayor.
Okay, good. Because I can't
So,
remember.
If we can have the rest
I
of
know
them,
I
if
said
you
that
can
one. Okay.
let
Thank you,
Desiree know.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can let Desiree, if you can let Desiree know, she's kind of the central location for Madam Mayor, members of the
So
council.
get them to the
Yes. and
administrative assistants in the front
Thank
office,
you.
mayor's office.
That'll
Okay.
work perfectly. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next item is the consent agenda items, and I have Cassandra to read them.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Finance report.
Oh,
Yeah, you skipped. That's okay.
she's been waiting for a long time.
I
I have Miss Tana Vega. Thank you, Counselor.
There she is. She was ready to go home.
She's ready.
Sneak out the back door.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Forgetting me already, right?
We've handed out.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Good evening.
I'd like to present the revenue and expenditure reports for the month of January 2018 for the general fund, the recreation center, and the utility funds. The revenue reports represent 58% of the year, the budget year that has lapsed. Total revenues for the general fund, which are collected, reported on the cash basis, are $6,872,590, which represents 63% of budgeted revenues. Expenditures also reported on the cash basis are $6,094,026, which represent 51% of budgeted expenditures. The recreation center include cash receipts received, including the general fund transfer, total $343,189, 50% of budget. Expenditures also reported on the cash basis of $347,128, at 51% of budget expenditures. The enterprise funds, wastewater has billed, these are revenues for the enterprise funds are recorded on the accrual basis and as services are provided. And the wastewater revenues are $1,667,327, 58% of budgeted revenues. Natural gas is at $1,967,409, 38% of what was budgeted, and that is due to the fact that we've had a very mild winter and people have not used the resources. Solid waste, $2,010,799.91, represents 59% of budgeted revenues. Water, $2,966,764. 62% of budgeted revenues has been collected. Expenditures, wastewater. Expenditures in the enterprise fund are recorded on the cash basis. Wastewater has expended $1,742,720, 53% of budgeted expenditures. Natural gas has expended $2,314,688, which is only 39% of budgeted expenditures. There again, hand in hand with the budgeted the revenues that have been recognized. Solid waste, $1,955,655, 52% of budgeted expenditures. And water at $2,953,246, 52% of budgeted expenditures. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Now we get to the consent,
She did explain that one. Yeah, the current tax rate. Thank you.
Next item is the consent agenda items, Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the council? Consent agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Councilor Fazio.
I move that we adopt or approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you.
And that the items be read into the
Thank you.
record proper by the city clerk.
Perfect.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Before we do that, she's made a motion. Do we have a second before you read it?
Second.
Okay. For the roll call, and read them into the record, please. Roll call.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Howell and Counselor Olivari Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries. And I will read the consent agenda
Thank you very
items
much.
into the record. Include item 1, approval to award request for bid 2018-16 for the Bradner Fill Line project to Hayes Plumbing and Heating Incorporated. Item 2, approval of resolution number 1806 for submission of a completed application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority. Item 3, approval of the published ordinance number 1801 to enter into a loan agreement with the New Mexico Finance Authority. Item 4, approval of contract for emergency medical services between the City of Las Vegas and Superior Ambulance. And item 5, approval to replace existing hangar door at the Las Vegas Municipal Airport and replace high voltage switch with a low voltage push button.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is the business items. We have item number 1, conduct a public hearing and approval, disapproval of transfer of ownership and change of location of dispenser liquor license number 0054 with package sales submitted by Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores Incorporated, doing business as Love's Travel Stop number 733, proposed location at 2401 North Grand Avenue, Las Vegas, New Mexico, 87701. Application number 1074243. We have Ms. Cassandra Frescas presenting.
Madam Mayor, if I may ask to go into a public hearing?
Exactly. Motion to go into public hearing.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
And at this time, if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this issue, they will come forward so they can be sworn in. Is that going to be you only? We don't have anybody else. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
I,
Repeat your-
Edmund B. Tatum, do swear
to tell the truth
tell the truth
during my testimony to council tonight.
during my testimony at the council tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I'll make this very short and sweet. I represent Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, and I do their liquor license work in the state of New Mexico. I'm here on their behalf to answer any questions you may have. I do a lot of this work, and I can tell you they will make a very good corporate citizen. They're in all 48 states, all 48 continental United States, and I'm just here to answer any questions you may have. I think the facilities they build are really are fine and complement any city. So I congratulate you on getting one. Their locations to date have simply been Gallup and Bernalillo County. So this is and Milan. This is a nice stretch of them away from the Rio Grande corridor, I'll say. So if you say have any questions.
I'd like for you to give an overview of the actual record proper, please.
Overview what?
Of the record proper.
Okay. What would you like for me to
Well, give a description of what it is that you're,
Okay, we're proposing the,
And then I'll open it up to
if
the
this is what you're looking, we're proposing the transfer of a liquor license to Spencer number 0054. The current record owner is Highway General Market LLC, doing business as Highway General Market Tequilas, and at their current location of 227 South Pacific Street, Las Vegas, New Mexico, City of Las Vegas. And the applicant is Love's Travel Stop and Country Stores, Inc., whose home office is located in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Love's location and stop will be Love's Travel Stop number 733, which is the number given to the new facility here in Las Vegas. It will be located at 2401 North Grand Avenue, Las Vegas, New Mexico. It is a dispenser license. There will be no sale of liquor by the drink. It will be simply a package transactions.
okay, thank you very much. Usually we have a community development individual present the record proper.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
and I can do that.
Okay, good.
We have met the publication and zoning requirements for
Okay, good.
this. And the alcohol and gaming has done a preliminary approval, and that is proposed to the council for approval, and I do recommend approval on this.
Okay.
I think he's gone over the actual, what they're asking for, is transfer of ownership as well as location, moving from tequilas to Love's.
Okay.
And all the distances from the nearest school, church, and military installation are far in
Yes, I've
excess
seen
of the statutory minimum.
Okay, questions, comments? Well, welcome, congratulations if this goes well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, what is the pleasure of council?
Oh, I may tell you one more. The owner of the liquor license, Ms. Wanda Martinez, is here. Who should have any questions of the seller.
They have no questions, thank you. What is the pleasure of the council? Okay, we need to close public hearing?
Yeah, we need to close.
Well, that's what I was hoping. Somebody close public hearing.
Madam
and
Mayor, I
Mr.
move that we
Reconvene.
close public hearing and that we reconvene into regular session of the council.
Okay, good, we have a motion, we have a second,
Second.
roll call.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Romero. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Okay, now we need a vote. What's the pleasure of the council?
We need a motion to approve, Madam Mayor.
Well, we need just a motion to approve, and then we vote.
Yes.
Okay,
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the transfer of ownership and change of location of dispenser liquor license number 0054 with package sales submitted by Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores Incorporated. Doing business as Love's Travel Stop number 733.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Howell and Counselor Romero. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Let's go on to
Item number 2, business items. Conduct a public hearing and approval, disapproval of transfer of ownership and change of location of interlocal dispenser liquor license number 2667 with on-premise consumption with patio service submitted by Highway General Market, LLC, DBA, doing business as Tequila's Bar and Grill, located at 227 South Pacific Street, Las Vegas, New Mexico. Application number 1077902.
Okay, motion to go into public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I move that we go into public hearing.
Do I have a second? Roll call.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
And who do we have presenting?
Do I have anyone here that's representing this item and like to speak on it at this time? Please come forward.
Ms. Martinez asked me to say that she doesn't have anything to say, but she'll answer any questions that you may have.
If you'll come up, please, and just be sworn in if you're going to answer questions. Hello, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name for the record.
Wanda Martinez.
Do swear to tell the truth
Do swear to tell the truth
during my testimony to council tonight.
during my testimony to council.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, we have a request for a transfer of ownership and change of location. This is an interlocal dispenser, and the liquor license is coming from Landry's Seafood House, and that's located in Albuquerque. And Ms. Wanda here is requesting through the Highway General Market, known as the Tequila's Bar and Grill, for that. She is the applicant. We've met the publication requirements as well as zoning, and those publications were in January 24th and February 7th. Those were posted in the Daily Optic. At this time, we are requesting approval of the application, and I'll go ahead and stand for any questions.
Questions, comments? Okay.
Madam
Councilor
Mayor.
Casey.
So this essentially would allow Tequilas to continue their business as usual.
And if I may add, this is on-premise only with patio service.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the patio is not going to be it's property that they own, so there would be no adverse possession, correct? Okay, okay. Any other questions?
No.
Councilor Howell.
Thank you, Mayor. Ma'am, no package sales, all right?
No.
It's just drink sales?
Drink.
For your bar? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Madam
Okay, we need to accept the record proper.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, you have a question?
No, I wanted to make a motion.
Okay, Councilor Howell.
I
make
need
your
to
motion.
make a motion to close public hearing and to accept the record
There we
proper.
go. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Howell, a second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
I need a motion to reconvene into regular session.
Madam Mayor, I move that we
Councilor
reconvene into regular session.
Do we have a second?
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Olivari Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we need approval, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we
Counselor
approve the transfer of ownership and change of location of interlocal dispenser liquor license number 2667 with on-premise consumption only with patio service submitted by the Highway General Market, LLC, doing business as Tequila's Bar and Grill.
Second.
Roll call?
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Howell and Counselor Olivari Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Let's continue.
Item number 3, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is approval of the 2017 annual financial report for the city of Las Vegas, and we have Ms. Tana Vega and Mr. Ray Roberts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tana.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Ms. Vega.
The Office of the State Auditor has released the 2017 audit for review and final approval by Mayor and Council. Joining me is Mr. Ray Roberts from RPC, our auditing firm, to present and answer any questions Mayor and Council may have.
Okay, questions, comments?
Mayor, just a quick comment, please. For the record, this is the regular audit that is done.
This is our
every year.
financial,
This is
our
not the
annual
special-
financial.
This is not the special audit.
No.
I want that
Yes.
in the record for clarification.
And I also want on the record for clarification that this company is ranked 9th in the nation. That has to be on the record as well. Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue. Record, questions, comments? Counselor Howell.
Thank you, Madam. Ms. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Gallegos? And what is your name, sir, again?
Ray Roberts.
Mr. Roberts, welcome. So the opinion of the audit is an unmodified audit?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And there is one, it's hard for me to see here. What page is it? Page 145?
145?
145. When you say none noted, in other words, you didn't find any, you had material, I have to get.
Weakness.
Weakness, yeah. Last line. Okay. You said you had material witness.
Weakness.
Weakness, excuse me. What, can you expand on that?
Yes, sir.
Material weakness identified?
Yes, sir. What a material weakness, there's 3 types of findings or levels of findings. Okay, there's the lowest level one, which is what they call control deficiency. And that's just, if there's a more than a remote chance that something's going to be wrong with the system or with the financial statements, that's a control deficiency. And then you have the material weakness, which is something has gone wrong or could go wrong that would cause the financial statements to be materially misstated, a very large number. And in between, everything else is called a significant deficiency. So what this means there is we didn't see anything that would cause the financial statements to be materially misstated or anything wrong in the system as it's designed that would result in that, as long as it works properly.
And you had also done a federal audit?
Yes, sir.
For our housing authority?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, you found that to be a modified audit?
No, I believe we still had a unmodified opinion on that one, too. But we did have a significant deficiency in that case.
Right. Maybe that's what I meant.
So we did have one finding in that. We did pick the public housing capital projects fund for what they call a detailed single audit. And in the handout we have, there's a laundry list of things that we looked at, and one of those being what happened with the capital assets, and the Housing Authority was unable to provide us the detail that, for us to sign off that that step was made. So now this is different than we don't look at every little transaction or every compliance issue on a housing audit, but we did, there's certain things, once it meets a certain risk criteria that the federal government sets, then we look at those specifically.
Thank you.
Questions? No questions? Okay. No further questions? What is the pleasure of the council?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the 2017 audit as presented.
Second.
Counselor Howell? Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Olivetti Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Olivetti Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
I want to thank the Finance Department and everyone involved in this audit. And I know we're working on the corrective action plan on the other end for housing, so thank you very much. Thank you very much.
May I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
As a parent of a Special Olympics student, athlete, that was a great, and these kids will remember that for a long time. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate that from a Special Olympic parent, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Thank you, Tom. The next item on the agenda is item number 4, approval, disapproval of resolution 18-13, authorizing the sale of city-owned property as per legal description and plat. And we have Ms. Maria Perea to present.
Good evening, Ms. Perea. How are you?
We also have Mr. Carlos
Lopez.
Carlos
great.
Lopez, who's the project manager for Castaneda. Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Madam Mayor, Council. I am presenting this evening on a resolution. The city is looking at selling right-of-way there in front of Railroad Avenue so that the Castaneda can have angle parking for when they open in, let's say 18 months or so they can have ample parking for the Castaneda Hotel. And I'm turning it over to Carlos so he can tell you more of it.
Thank you, Ms. Perea.
Yes.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Madam Chair and City Council. It's been a while that I've been here, so it's nice to be part of a meeting. There's two requests. The first one is the purchase of approximately 14, 15 feet of Railroad Avenue on the east side of Railroad Avenue that's right up against the Castaneda Hotel. And the purpose of that is to push the angled parking into the existing Castaneda curb line, so that we don't take up any more parking that we're taking up currently with parallel parking. So we do a slanted design and we really increase the parking in front of the Castaneda. So that's the purpose, that's the request tonight, is wanting to purchase that right away, that 15-foot approximately, it's about 2.2 acres, right along the Castaneda on that east side of that road. That's one of the requests. The second one, and I don't know if we're following this as number 5, but we're also wanting to enter into some kind of agreement. I think it's being labeled here as a lease, but our intent is to open up the Castaneda improved parking with the existing city of Las Vegas parking. That's at the depot. I think that it's been in discussion for many, many years, and the previous owner never wanted to participate in that. Well, the ownership now wants to do that. They see the benefit for the city, and they also see the benefit for the Castaneda to utilize parking.
And the railroad district in general.
Yes. It does a lot of things. It increases parking for both properties. Eventually, maybe the P&M building parking would open up. It provides better access for fire safety to the backsides of the buildings. So our fire lines and so on we're all looking at that in considering that we open up that parking at the depot. So again, it's being labeled as a lease. We want to negotiate that. But really what we're asking is that we open up, we'll pay for all the expenses to do the curb cuts, whatever's necessary to open up that parking. So if you have that layout in front of you, I can answer questions on it, but there's 2 accesses on the far east side, and then right on the curb cut that's existing on Lincoln, it would go straight into the city parking. So there's an existing wrought iron fence. We would open that up, and then on the far east side, so it really creates a radius for fire trucks and accessibility.
Questions, comments?
No, I think it's,
Councilor Howell?
I think it's a good idea, and it's going to help the whole railroad district renovation projects that we have. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. What is the pleasure of the council?
Madam Mayor, I move
Councilor
approval
Casey?
of resolution number 18-13, authorizing the sale of city-owned property as is attached in the record.
Okay, for the city right-of-way on the east side of Railroad Avenue between Lincoln Avenue and Douglas Avenue. It is to be read into the record. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Levitti Jr.?
Yes.
Have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Romero. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of Resolution 18-14, authorizing the lease of city-owned property as per attached legal description and known as the Transportation Department parking lot located at 500 Railroad Avenue, Las Vegas, New Mexico. And I believe Mr. Lopez had discussed this a
We'd
little
already
previously.
discussed it, yes.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, what is the pleasure of the council? Counselor Howell?
Go ahead.
Well,
Do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, but I defer it to
I was just
Councilor
going
Casey,
to
'cause
ask,
it's hard for me to.
Counselor
No.
Casey?
so we're authorizing the lease of the property and then perhaps future sale? Or, no?
No, we don't want to sell the parking lot in front of the Transportation Department
Okay,
because
so
that,
it'll just be the lease?
it'd just be kind of, so they could use it after hours and it would give access to the fire department
Yeah.
in case there's something happened right back there.
Yeah, I've driven out there and looked around.
And yeah, because there's going to be 2 entrances, which are going to be,
So are you providing testimony, Counselor Casey?
No, Madam Mayor, I'm not. I'm just making a statement that I have gone out there to look at the property so that
Okay.
I know what I'm voting on today.
Okay, good be testimony. Okay, what is the pleasure of the council?
Madam Mayor,
Counselor Casey?
I move approval and authorization for the lease of city-owned property as per attached legal description and known as the Transportation Department parking lot located at 500 Railroad Avenue, Las Vegas, New Mexico. And Mr. Owner, Alan Afelt, of owner of the Kaufman of the hotel for use by hotel patrons during the hours Transportation Department is closed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Counselor Levitti Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Levitti Jr. and Counselor Romero. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Could I
Mr. Lopez?
make a clarification? I might be a little late. With the, with the finance structure, Ellen Afeld previously was the owner. With the new market tax credit structure, the ownership is under Winslow Arts Trust. So just for clarification, Winslow Arts Trust.
Because of the clearinghouse tax credits, correct?
Yes, yes,
Exactly.
exactly. So just for clarification, that references Ellen Afelt as the owner. It's Winslow Arts Trust, and it actually goes into a nonprofit structure. And the intent of that nonprofit is to perpetuate future projects and historic projects in the community. So
Thank you very much. The clerk will correct that on
Okay.
the agenda.
Thank you.
As noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This is huge. And
I
so
know.
now we're on to the next step.
Yeah.
And so we've been working on this for a couple of months already, and we'll now seek the appraisal and then move forward and bring it back to Mayor and Council.
Great. Good job.
Yeah,
Good job,
depending
Maria.
you're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay,
lot
councilors'
of work.
reports. Counselor Romero.
I don't have nothing this month.
Counselor Casey.
I have several questions, and I'm sorry that Ms. Garcia Renee is not here, so I'm going to direct my questions maybe to Virginia or to the city manager.
Virginia, would you come up, just for in case?
In the written reports that we get every month from the different department heads, the January report that was turned in by Ms. Garcia stated that the Las Vegas night of the legislature had cost $24,831.87, and that paid for the banquet room, the food, mariachis, flowers, ads, donor banners, invitations, and decorations. And it was a very elegant Las Vegas night. The setup was beautiful. Everything was very lovely. But I find it hard to believe that it only cost $24,831.87. So I would like to know if it cost more than that. if this was just a preliminary amount that was given to us in January, and then there's going to be a bigger bill now?
No, those were.
Those are pretty accurate numbers. We're still finalizing the report, but 24,000 was, it's a very good number. We didn't go over that. We stayed within our budget, and it was an elegant, it was an elegant event, and for that cost, we were able to raise 100% of the monies. And so we would like to bring that report back to you in March when it's finalized, if you can bear with us.
And just.
But it was close to 24,000.
Yeah,
500.
and a good reason why we were able to save on that is because we utilized the creativity of the individuals in the department by us. What we did is we got Hacienda, for example, sponsored some of the wood products, which we then created things such as the boxes and some of the other decorations. So we ourselves put those decorations together to save money, and because we wanted to keep the cost down to what we had gotten from the sponsors.
Okay, so if we raised, you just said that we raised all the money that cost. So then we still have the 20,000 in the budget that was allocated in the budget?
There was never 20,000 allocated. There was 20,000 in the budget that we had put in as donations and contributions. That's where it's at. It's labeled donations and contributions, and that's where we put all our revenues in there, and then we expend.
So that money never came out of the general fund or any other account?
Not at all.
Got to make sure it's clear to everybody.
And along the same line, I know that we as counselors were asked if we wanted to spend the night at La Fonda. And were those rooms covered by the city also?
It was mileage and per diem that you submitted, that mayor and council submitted for reimbursement, and that was paid out of the executive office, yes. Okay. As any other trainings or any of those other travels that occur during the year.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And just for the record, I don't, people do whatever they want. I don't agree with that personally. I don't think we should use taxpayer monies to pay for hotel bills for the counselors or others. Anyway, another question. We've lost our, what is it called? I can't think of her title. Ms. Shorty is no longer with us.
The special event coordinator?
A special event coordinator, and I think she was also considered the film liaison.
Yes. Yes.
And we just had last week a really nice premiere of Making a Killing, the movie that was made here in Las Vegas. And it features, absolutely outstanding, beautiful shots of Las Vegas starry nights, our beautiful buildings, our historic buildings, the mountains, the lakes. It's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful movie. The filming was really well done. And I'm concerned that we really need to get somebody in that position as quickly as possible so that we can have somebody that can continue to work to promote the film industry here in Las Vegas. And Senator Campos was commended at that time for the work that he has done in promoting the film industry in New Mexico, not just in Las Vegas. But it would be wonderful if we could have someone in that position again, not only to keep the current staff at community development from being overtaxed and overworked, but also so that we can have somebody that the film directors and other people who are interested in our town can come in and have somebody that they can talk to and work with on a regular basis. So I'm concerned about that.
May I answer?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Working on it.
What I will be doing is I will be meeting with the director to review the job description and then, of course, advertise it for a special events coordinator as well. She had talked to me about possibly updating that job description, and so we'll get those changes in, and then, of course, yeah, I agree completely with what you were just saying about the community development employees, but they, I'll tell you, I have to tell you that they've all pulled together, they've teamed up, and I really see some really good teamwork out of that department. And so, and then I understand that they can't be, you can't tax them as much as we'd like for them to work, but I'm available. We have put a couple of other people to assist them, and so we're moving forward. But we will be looking at that special events coordinator. Thank you, Councilor.
Also, regarding the Community Development Department, I really think that, we do have wonderful employees.
Yes.
And I was really impressed with the shadow boxes that Virginia created. And I was very excited when I saw them when she posted them on Facebook. And I thought, and they were very, very nice table decorations. I'm concerned about the July fiestas because I'm hearing rumors out in the community that who will be in charge of planning the fiestas now that we have a shortage in community development. They want to know, some of the merchants and vendors would like to know when the days of fiestas are going to be. They would like it to be a reasonable amount of time because they're hearing that fiestas are going to last 6 days, and that costs a lot of money for the vendors, and the merchants along Bridge Street and the plaza do lose money because of, parking issues, and they close their stores and they don't get as much business as they normally do at other times. So that's a concern about, the fiestas. Police department has to work overtime and, provide, pretty much 24/7 coverage for safety. And, that's kind of my area of concern there. So I would like to know, it's already March almost, and fiestas are coming up pretty quick, and the time goes by really fast. So,
Madam Mayor, Councilor, as a matter of fact, Virginia has taken over the responsibility of the 4th of July fiestas. There is a meeting on February the 23rd at 1:30? 1 o'clock? And that is at the Transportation Center. We have already started the review of the contracts, the review of some of the entertainment. We have also assigned 2 other people to assist in the with the fiestas. My understanding, and correct me if I believe that the date, it's the 4th of July is on the 4th. It's on a Wednesday. Very difficult to plan around that. And so we're looking at Saturday being the parade, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if and let me turn it over to you, Virginia, because I think you probably know a little bit more than I do.
Yes. So she's correct, and we're pushing forward those contracts. We're also, you mentioned the vendors. We also submitted those applications as well for review. So once those get approved, we can start getting the vendors and the entertainment applications in. And it is June 29th through July 4th. Those are the finalized dates. July 29th will, of course, be dedicated to La Reina. We always do that the Friday night before. Saturday will be the parade, and we will have the fireworks on July 4th. And then we will have all the other set entertainment in between that time.
So it'll be 5 days instead of the 6 that people were hearing? Okay.
Yeah, well, we weren't sure if we were going to have a full day on that Friday, but we decided to have the Reina on Friday instead, and we are moving it back to Rialto. We've already had discussion with Rialto about moving that back to...
And are we going to be able to find entertainment for that long of a period of time?
Yeah, we have plenty of entertainment that has already contacted us for applications, so we won't have a problem filling those days.
We also have the applications for the carnivals ready to go. Yes. We just need a review by our attorney, and then let me see if there was some other issues that we were taking care of. but we're moving forward. We have a lot of plans in place. The applications are ready to go. The contracts are ready to go for the event, for some of the events that are occurring. And so I do think that this committee has moved forward actually a little bit, in my opinion, way ahead of time, because I know that previous years we've had a little bit of glitches with some of the contracts, but we're moving forward. We're meeting on a weekly basis on the 4th of July fiestas, because we know that that's the next big event for the city of Las Vegas, and it has to be a successful event. There's no clouding of that. The fireworks, we're working with Mr. Billy Montoya, because are we going to have the fireworks or not? And that's something that it's a controlled, it would be a controlled show that would be here at Highlands University, but we have to work the mechanics of it all, and we'll be doing that as well. So we're good to go, and we're moving forward with that, Councilor, Madam Mayor.
If you, I don't know how many have Facebook accounts, but Sharon Vandermeer, who is the local author, requested comments for, publication about how people feel about Las Vegas. And many of the comments were about how wonderful fiestas are and that they need to continue to be that way. And so that was a concern of mine. One more thing about the Las Vegas night. How many legislators actually showed up? I was there for 2 hours, and at that point in time, we didn't have any legislators show up, and I understand that they were having committee meetings that evening, but the purpose of Las Vegas night is to have a nice casual conversation where you can sit down with your legislators from other parts of the state and promote Las Vegas and some of the projects that we have. And so I would like to know how many legislators attended. Do you know?
I don't know, but those are things, sometimes those meetings that are, the evening meetings are beyond our control, because those are set that day. So that's something that we wouldn't be able to foresee. And I don't know how many, but I'll turn that over to Virginia.
We did have 2 sign-in books there. One was specifically for all visitors, and then one was specifically for the legislators. We did have about, I believe, I don't know the exact number, but somewhere around 5 to 7 different people that has signed the legislature book alone. So we did, and we did have, for example, Salazar go in, and he did speak with a few people while he was there. He was probably the last one that did attend. He was there during the time that everybody was getting ready to leave. But we did have we had more than what I've seen in the past.
Yeah. I would like to suggest that, I know it's very difficult to plan for the legislative session because everything's always up in the air over there. But when it's a short session, it would be better to have, if we could get a date early, and you have to call them up like right away after the session ends to plan for next year, to get a date early in the session, because for the short session, which is the budget session, everything happens the last couple of weeks. And so it was not a real good time to have Las Vegas night at that particular time. And then for the long session, the 60-day session, if you can catch something around the middle, preferably before the end of the halfway point, so that if there's any legislation that we still need to be introduced, we can talk to our legislators and others to get those bills in prior to the last day to introduce bills, which is the halfway point of the session. So maybe those are things that need to be considered for scheduling purposes for next year.
We have actually worked together as a committee with the San Miguel County, City of Las Vegas, New Mexico Highlands University, and Luna Community College. We started working together, and we got this Las Vegas night when from previous administration, which had already set dates and had already set everything. So we have already been looking into next year, and we've contacted the legislature to let them know that we do want to be a part of it next year, and so we can get our dates and times in immediately, and we don't have to go through what we did this year. So we're already working on that. We're working with the entities as well, so that we can have a full Las Vegas day inside the roundhouse as we used to in past years.
And I believe that that's one of the reasons why it was so successful, because I think the mayor had requested that all of the agencies be included, and it was a collaborative effort by all, and it just worked out super well. It was one of the best attended Las Vegas days of what I know, and I've been to several of them. And so we're going to try to make it bigger and stronger, of course, and we'll continue to do that.
Okay. I also have some comments on the town hall meetings that were held for wards 4 and wards 1. The councilors were not informed that these town hall meetings were going to be taking place. And I found out from a constituent who goes to the senior center, and she called to ask me why I had not called to let her know that this was happening. And I said, I don't know. I didn't know anything about it. And so one of my concerns is that one of the town hall meetings for Ward 4 was held at Senior Center itself, and it was evident that that was kind of a campaign event.
I'm going to advise you to watch your tone and your allegations, Councilor Perea or Councilor Casey, because that was not at all the case. If you look at the actual charter law, I have the authority to notify the public shortly after the end of the year on a public address, correct, Cassandra?
To yearly report.
Exactly, so I chose to do it as a town hall meeting. There was no political agenda, and I do not appreciate you even making that statement here today. Notices were put out, Councilor Casey, and as such, and Councilor Howell can validate this, when we have held town hall meetings in his ward, the entire council was not notified, just Councilor Howell. So if you...
No. That's not true.
No, it is true,
That
Councilor.
is
Who
not true.
attended? Yes, it is true.
That is
Who
not true.
attended?
I mentioned it at the council meetings, and I spoke to each individual councilor.
Okay,
and
well,
told them.
that's
And,
what you did, but
City
at that point
Manager
in
Tim
time,
Dodge was there, and,
no, it was
the-
Richard Trujillo who was there with you.
No.
Yes, it was, Councilor Howell. Did you forget?
No.
Jesus, you
No.
did. You did
The only
forget.
way I held my ward meetings was my first term.
Okay, well,
I did not hold a ward meeting on my second
bottom
term.
line is, Councilor
It's not a
Howell.
bottom line,
No,
Mayor.
the bottom line
It is
is.
not a bottom
I
line.
am under attack for, at this point in time, for town
You're
hall
making
meetings.
an
that
allegation.
I went
You're
ahead,
making an
he's out of
allegation to
order.
me.
Both of you are.
No, you're out of order, Councilor
Okay.
Romero, because at this point in time, Councilor Casey is making allegations against town hall meetings being politically motivated, which is absolutely out of order and unprofessional. I have the right, consistent with the charter, to do that. And if you guys don't understand how that works, then that is an issue that we can discuss privately. But to bring forth an allegation in public is unacceptable, and I'm not going to tolerate it, Barbara. I am sick and tired of your allegations towards the administrative staff, that they're working hard. We have a special audit going, and I feel very confident that everything's going to go well. But you continue to make allegations to attempt to destroy, at this point in time, this administration, the directors, and that's unacceptable. If you don't have proof, then don't bring it forward. Anyone can raise an allegation, but there is nothing behind your allegation, nothing whatsoever.
May I finish my comment?
You're always commenting about something that you perceive is happening, which is not happening.
I don't think it was perception when one of the candidates at the Ward 4 provided door prizes with campaign material in it, and at Ward 1, one of the candidates also provided door prizes with campaign material in it. I have never been to a town hall meeting ever in all my life, and I have been to many that had door prizes for people with campaign information in them, or even door prizes for that matter. And so I'm just making a comment that I know I cannot prove what the intent was. They were very informative, I'll give you that. but I just do not believe that they were truly ethical in nature, and that is my opinion.
Well, that is an
And I want that very
unfounded
clear.
opinion.
Well, I don't believe so, but I'm not going to argue with you. The last thing I would like to do is to remind everybody that the Optic is hosting a candidate forum on Tuesday, February 27th, which is next Tuesday, at 7 o'clock at G35 at the Highlands campus. It's the little lecture hall between the library and the sub. And the candidates will be there, so if you want, it'll be a question and answer type thing. The Optic will be providing the questions, and hopefully we'll get a good turnout. So if you want to see who is running for office, if you don't know all the candidates, then please go to the forum. It's a good way to learn who all the candidates are. We have Ward 1, Ward 4, and the municipal judge that are up for election.
Now, who scheduled this forum?
The Optic did.
The Optic did. Who are the moderators?
I have no idea. Ask the Optic.
Who are the moderators?
The Optic editorial board.
And who is that?
Myself, Susan Society, Joe McCaffrey, and Arthur Hewitt.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's all, Madam Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Howell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the only time I held a board meeting was on my first term. Tim Dodge was the...
A town hall meeting.
I never held a town hall meeting.
You never held one when Mr. Trujillo was here?
I've never held a town hall meeting. I've held board meetings, which I invited the councilors, and the city manager was in attendance, and also some of the directors that was doing a presentation.
Okay, was Mr. Trujillo ever at one of your ward meetings?
No, because Mr. Trujillo was not here during my first term.
But he was here during your second term.
Right, in which
And
I
he
never
informed me
held,
that he had
and I never
attended
held.
one of your meetings with
I've
you.
never held a town hall meeting, and I've never held a ward meeting. Mr. Trujillo came with me to visit a business owner, and that was to the extent of it. But never a town hall meeting or a ward meeting that Mr. Trujillo was at.
Okay, I'll follow up with that.
You
So that was
certainly can.
informed. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Councilor's report?
Yes, thank you. On the Las Vegas night, I thought it was very good evening, and I think the community development staff did an outstanding job on putting it also. I also think that we need to thank Mr. Old, David Old, for giving us the one of those wooden plaques.
Yes.
So that introduced the Las Vegas Night of the Legislators. I think that was a good thing for us. It's a good touch. And the mariachi group was outstanding. They were really wonderful. I did talk to Representative Tomas Salazar earlier that day, and he said he was not going to be able to make it, or he might make it way at the tail end. So I did not see him because he apparently came at the tail end. And let's see. I think that I went to the House of Representatives where they did a house memorial for Las Vegas, and I thought that was really wonderful. Representative Salazar, Tomas Salazar, did the reading of that, and it was really wonderful to hear what he had to say about Las Vegas. I didn't attend the Senate memorial. I believe you did, Mayor, and Councilor Ulibarri did. But I know that the House of Representatives really appreciates Las Vegas when he read that. I understand there's a lot of changes afoot, and it's coming up real soon. And I've talked to the mayor, I've talked to some of the councilors, and I asked them, and I said, I think it would be a good idea for us to go out and put out an RFP for a city manager position. And at this point in time, I would like to make a motion for us to go ahead and put out an RFP to search for a city manager.
You can't do that. It's an action item and it has to be on the agenda.
On the councilor's report, we verified it with the municipal league that we can do that.
Okay, I don't agree with you, and I would like to see the policy on that. Do you have the policy?
I don't have it with me, Mayor, but you can call our attorney, municipal league attorney.
The charter is very specific. Any action item that must be voted on must be on the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor, Mayor, and it needs
I
to be.
cannot acknowledge a motion, just like the century. When you go ahead and you make a motion on the floor, it's not an action item, that is on the agenda, because when you don't put it on the agenda as an action item, then you are violating the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
They must know this.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to have a RFP put out on the next council meeting agenda.
Okay, you can only request a consensus, not an action. I will not acknowledge an action item because of the fact that you are not giving the community the public input. You are violating their rights for public input.
How am I violating the right to the public input when I'm making a motion? I'm making a
We
motion.
put this agenda out on the public. When we publicize this agenda, the public are aware of what is out there. And when you make an item, an action item, and you want a vote, then you are violating the Open Meetings Act.
And I
That is a
amended my
violation.
motion,
That
to
must be
state-
amended to be included in the agenda to begin with.
I amended my
And it must
motion
be
to
published within the
make a motion-
72 hours.
To make a motion to put the RFP on the agenda for the next council
You
meeting.
can make a request through consensus, but then also the consensus must be unanimous. Correct, Cassandra?
Mayor, I think that would be a question for the attorney.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't have that particular role for any mayor, but I believe you're correct in that it's an action item, that there's a notice requirement.
And the council violated that last time
I
it was
don't know that it's a
censured.
violation,
It
Mayor,
is.
but I know
checked
it's a notice
already.
requirement.
I know it is.
I don't think it's violating the Open Meetings Act, but I think it has more to do with the notice. If it's an action item on the agenda.
And it must meet the 72-hour requirement.
I agree.
Exactly.
Right, so, Mr. Attorney, I did change my motion. I changed it to have the RFP considered to be put on the agenda for our next council meeting.
Okay.
And that should be more than 72 hours in advance, and we can have a...
You're not making a motion, you're requesting an item be put, but then, of course, that has to go through the consensus.
You had mentioned before that the consensus is only appropriate if we wanted to change the agenda that's at hand.
Initially, we would have had to.
Right, but there's no agenda for next week or
next
next
month.
council at this
So
moment.
you can make
that's
a
why
request, but not a motion.
I made the motion to have a special audit on the agenda for the following meeting, and it went through.
I know, and again, that was a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
It was not a violation of the open.
Was it on the agenda?
It was put on the agenda for the following.
Okay, so it was on the agenda.
For the following meeting.
Exactly,
And that's
so
what
we
I'm
voted.
saying. And that's what I'm doing right now.
So you're making a request, not a motion.
Madam Mayor?
Councilor Casey.
I think, and this is for Mr. Silva's benefit, the situation that we've encountered is that oftentimes when the council wants to place something on the agenda, our requests are rejected. And because of that, we sought legal counsel from the municipal league and from the state auditor's office legal counsel also to help us be able to put items on the agenda that we thought were necessary. and important. And we were told by both of those legal people that the time when we can make a motion that is not on the agenda is during counselor comments. We can make a motion, any kind of a motion. And, you know, we can request that something be placed on the agenda for the next meeting. We can make a motion, you know, to whatever. And so that is what Counselor Howell is attempting to do now.
What I'd like to.
So, you know, if you could.
Okay, if the municipal league is advising them in this manner, which I know is incorrect, have municipal league, if you would contact them, give you something in writing. Let them put that in writing.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
And again, I don't believe in my reading of the notice requirement that violates the open meetings. I just think the 72-hour requirement.
Is part of the
The
open meetings
notice is a request to add this to the next council. Councilor Howell, that's what you're asking.
Yes. So it can be put on the agenda for the next council meeting.
I don't believe it violates an open meetings issue.
Cassandra,
I
could
think
you
it's-
notify him about the Open Meetings Act on the 72-hour requirement?
Mayor, and to answer that question, I do believe there's a form. I think I informed Counselor in the past that there's a form that can be signed requesting an item to be placed on the agenda by a majority.
Right, you did mention that.
Right.
And then when I made the motion for a special audit, it was approved because I mentioned it at the council meeting. And therefore,
So essentially, the process has not been followed.
Precedence has been set, just what Counselor Howell is trying to say.
Regardless of precedents being set, what has happened is that the council, you three, took the initiative to violate the Open Meetings Act.
so when you say I have to make it a request and
There's a form you have
consensus.
to.
And
that was
consensus.
discussed a while back with regards to a meeting. What was it, almost a year ago?
So,
They were
so
notified?
if I make the request, are you going to say that it's denied?
I don't believe I recall exactly how that resolution was adopted, but I believe it says that there must be a full consensus from the council.
Only if you want to change the agenda at hand.
No,
Yeah,
the agenda, that
that's
has
what you
to
had
happen
mentioned
prior
last
to.
time.
No, you're
You had
confused,
mentioned
Counselor
that.
Howell. No, you're
Mayor, you had
confused.
said we could not make any changes to the agenda that we are looking at the moment in time.
Yes, you can amend the agenda at that point in time, but you also have to remember that there is a 72-hour requirement if you're going to attempt to put an action item on the agenda. Okay, I would suggest that you follow up with this and then have him get back to you. So I'm not going to argue with you at this point in time unless we get clarification, which I don't perceive, but okay, let's continue. Any other questions, Councilor?
No, like I said, I wanted to make a motion to put the RFP on the next meeting's agenda and for a vote.
Well, I think that we have to wait to see what legal counsel advises us. I'm sure he can get an answer for you
I think-
by tomorrow, and then we'll have plenty of
When there is a motion on the
time.
floor, there,
I cannot acknowledge your motion, Counselor Howell, if it's not on the agenda as an action
If I get a
item.
second on my motion, then you do have to acknowledge it.
I have to call for the question. And I'm not going to call for the question if I believe that it's a violation of the 72-hour notice.
There is plenty of time. There's more than 72 hours.
Well,
For the
then
next
why don't
meeting.
you let the attorney check into the actual process to make sure we are not violating anything, and he can get back to you and back to me, then we'll discuss the issue of putting it on the agenda.
All right.
Okay, let's continue. Counselor Ulibarri.
No comments.
Okay. We have no need for executive. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Rivera Jr.? Counselor
Yes.
Rivera Jr.? Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Merrill?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Rivera Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Meeting adjourned.